Hello everyone, welcome to another Italian pronunciation video, this time for the Arietta l'ho perduta meschina from The Marriage of Figaro. We will explore the tips and tricks to help you sing your aria without accent and also discuss proper open and closed vowels and other non-phonetic things such as phrasal doubling and assimilation. Before we do that, please direct your attention to the description of this video below. You will see links to my various websites, my Facebook fan page. Please give me a visit and a like if you have a moment. Also, please, if you like this video, subscribe and like, and please share. It helps me out a great deal. Also, in the description box, you'll find a link to the pronunciation dictionary on the RAI site. It's called the RAI, R-A-I, DOP. You can follow the link below or type RAIDOP into a search engine and it will take you to the site. At this site, you can type in any Italian word and there will be a playback button when you search for it and you'll be able to hear it pronounced by a native Italian speaker. It also has complete lines of text where you will see phrasal doubling and assimilation in action. If you're new to these terms, if you watch a few of my videos, you should have a very good grasp of what I'm talking about. So what we will do, also if you look in the description, I've left the text for you where I have only notated the things that are not phonetic in the aria. So I'm going on the assumption that you already know IPA, and if you want, you can IPA your whole aria out. What we'll do first is we'll go through line by line. I'll read it line by line, and then we'll break it down word by word and explore a lot of the things that can help you hone Italian, and also examine a lot of the mistakes I have heard in auditions or in coachings or performances. Okay, so here we go with the line by line. L'ho perduta, meschina. Chissà dove sarà. Non la trovo. Non la trovo. L'ho perduta meschinella. Chissà dove sarà. Non la trovo. Non la trovo. Meschinella. L'ho perduta. Chissà dove sarà. E mia cugina è il padron? Cosa dirà? Okay, so this little aria must have the record for phrasal doubling. If you've noticed, the first thing you'll notice when I've written out the text that I have added all kinds of double consonants that are not there in the regular text. Now, why is that? Well, there is this phenomenon of the existence of strong monosyllables in Italian. And also there are two-syllable words that cause phrasal doubling also. If you notice HO, the word for I have, that causes a double P. So what we need to do is examine the words when they're monosyllables, which ones actually cause the next word, if it starts with a consonant, to have a double consonant. This happens all the time in Italian speech. It's also almost on an unconscious level for Italians. They don't even realize they do it. This is the other reason why I recommend the RAI dictionary. If you go to that site, you'll see these phrasal doublings all over the place. The other place where it's mentioned is Evelina Colorni's book, Singer's Italian. Evelina Colorni was the coach at Juilliard. She was also the coach, the Italian coach when the Robert Shaw Chorale sang with Toscanini for the NBC recordings. So she became an expert on how to teach non-Italians Italian, and she notated all of these phenomenon in her book. So there's a list in the book about 4 pages from the end. I've also done a video on this where basically I'm doing a bunch of Colorni's ideas and a few things I've picked up along the way in my travels. I will link to that in the description. It's called All About Phrasal Doubling, so you can check it out. Okay, so Now, there's a list of words that cause phrasal doublings, and for instance, the word ho, me, a lot of interjections. Okay, and these are repeated over and over again in this aria. So you've noticed I've doubled those words. Okay, so now the first, let's talk about, there are a whole bunch of things to address, and we'll get stuff out of the way right at the beginning. So ho, if you notice, I've written with an open O. Now, Italian O comes in two forms, right? O and A, right? So the closed form is like the O in oats, right? In English, and like the open one is like saw, I saw in English, like the AW sound, like oh, isn't it too bad? Now the difference between Italian and English is that in Italian there is no glide, the vowel is pure. So what do I mean by that? Well, if I were to say saw in English, see my jaw moves like that. And when I say so, I slowly form an oo with my jaw and it moves. Italians don't do that. So when they go from vowel to vowel, their jaw remains in the position of the vowel and does not glide, right? So if I go a, e, o, u, there is no, it's not I, and it's not that motion. It's a motion like this, right? So as you go from vowel to vowel, and that's what keeps your vowels pure. Okay, so in this case, ho is a, and it causes a double P. So now let's talk about how do I do a double P. So double P, double D, double T, those are examples of harder vowels when they double. How we do it is we stop phonation. So like this, a, perduta. Now, I exaggerated the space, but you see my stop phonating, and there's this big space, and that's how you hear a double P, right? So, l'ho perduta is just a single P, where I don't stop. Okay, so that's the double P. Now, do I do two Ps? That's the next question. Watch again. Ho perduta. No, I just go up to the P, the position of the P, and then I just don't say it. Ho perduta. So I go up to it, ho, I don't say it, and then I say it. Perduta. The expression comes from the space of the stop of the phonation, right? It's not from the force of the P, right? The other thing is, do I shorten the vowel? Actually, no, right? I have a long vowel before the double P. So the other mistake you can make is shortening the vowel too much and going l'ho perduta. And then it also calls attention to itself, and somebody might actually say, you were wrong by doubling that consonant, just doesn't sound right. Well, that person's actually right. You are wrong because but the reason is because you've cut the vowel. L'ho, see, it's ugly. L'ho perduta. See, it has a flow, it has an arc to it. And that's the other thing in the Italian language. There's a circle of a sentence. And you have to accomplish that circle all the time to sound Italian. Okay, so now the next thing is the word perduta. So notice that we have a closed E in this one. So E's can either be closed, A, or open, A. Okay, and they're both higher than English, as is closed O and open O. And again, there's no glide, right? So the closed A is like say in English, and the open E is like head in English. And notice in both of those cases in English, I have a glide. Head, say. And you see my jaw moves. In Italian, that doesn't happen, right? So I would say a, and it would just stay. Okay, so in this case, we have to make sure that the R does not influence the A. So if you think A, U, A, right? So U in Italian is a phonetic vowel. It is always U. A in Italian is always A, no matter what position it is, right? So it's not A. A lot of singers, when they're not paying attention, especially American English speakers, will say perduta. And when you're not watching, that neutralizes to a. So we don't want to do that. So a, u, a. this is the purity test. We have 3 vowels in this word, and we want to make sure that they stay pure. Now, when we put the consonants back in, they are exactly the same feeling or the same sound, right? Again, e, u, a, perduta. Okay, now a couple other things in this word. We have a double R. It's not a printed double R, but the R touches a consonant. So any R that touches a consonant rolls. And we also have pitch when we sing. So, perduta. See, so there's a rolled R, right? So that first syllable, if you do it incorrectly and you let the R harmonize, make the vowel harmonize, it rhymes with chair in English, or pear, the fruit. So if you have a strong American accent or a non-Italian accent, you will sing pear. Even kind of like not so bad Italian, and I hear people go pear, pear. That's wrong. It doesn't rhyme with pear. It's pay, like to pay somebody, right? Per, perduta. Okay, so you're always testing that. Now, the T is a single T. And I hear people doing this wrong most often. You'll hear a double T where there's a single T. So I'll do it wrong to demonstrate. Here it is. Perduta. See, double T. Why? It's the same rule as the double P, because I stopped. I went up to the T and I didn't say it. Perduta. Wrong, right? That space, that stop in phonation. So how do we get unwanted doubles to go away? We elongate the vowel. So if you go back to just vowels, and that oo is on the stress, right, of the word. So that's the longest, most generous vowel. Perduta. And now I've gotten rid of the double T. The word me is a closed E, and it causes a phrasal doubling. So notice, meschina. So how do we do double M? Well, double M, double N, and double L follow the same formula. We actually elongate phonation. So we continue to phonate on an M. So single M, meschina. Double M, meschina. Now, I exaggerated it for the purpose of demonstration, right? You're not going to sing it that long, but it's just that you go, your lips come together, right? Right? So, anello, breathless, right? Anno, year. See, double N's are the same way. An, all right? Anno, anus, right? So it's very dangerous. Anno, year. Anno, anus. So there's a big, that goes to show you how dangerous it is to not double a consonant when it's doubled, or the other way around. Notice that the accent of this word is on the I, right? So it's meschina, right? So the E is your accent. So the other thing we know is that all unstressed vowels, if it's an E or an O, and it's not on the stress of the word, we don't have to worry about it. We know it's closed. How you sing it is your business. You might have to open it for vocal technique, but it should sound more closed to the audience than the stressed vowel, right? In this case, the E is on the unstress. Meschina. So it's not meschina, it's meschina. And you see how inertia works. There's a reason for that. To close a vowel on the way to a stress is way easier. It's also better for singing. It keeps that forward motion going. Okay, going on. The interjection, is a phrasal doubling word. It's a strong monosyllable. So this line has the most incredible amount of phrasal doubling words, because it has one of the 6 words that have 2 syllables that cause a phrasal doubling. Did you realize that there are 2-syllable words like ddove, sopra, so dove, ove, those words, they all cause phrasal doubling. So you would say dove sarà. See, double S. So dove is a two-syllable word causing a phrasal doubling. So now the word chissà used to be two words, right? So the word chi was a strong monosyllable, and then it became one word, and then they just bothered to write it with two S's. You see? The original was chi, C-H-I, who, S-A, knows, sa, right? Who knows? Chissà, right? Everybody says chissà. The same thing with the word addio, right? People would say to God when they would say farewell, may you go to God, right? But everybody doubled the D, addio, right? And then that became one word with the two D's, you see, and that's what's proving the existence of phrasal doublings. So in this case, the word a is a strong monosyllable, the word chi is a strong monosyllable, the word sa is a strong monosyllable, the word dove is a strong polysyllable. Okay, so we have all of these in a row. Now, if we were speaking, we could say chissà dove sarà, and it's fine. Singing, that becomes a little brutal. So if you've noticed, I've written out this text two different ways, right? So you have options, and you repeat this so much in this little aria, so this might be a nice little detail to add. Look at the second one. So now the a I use as the strong monosyllable, and I pick the k of chi as the double consonant, and then I leave out the d, and then I make the S, right? So this option is chissà dove sarà. Isn't that nice? It's kind of nice and elegant. The first way is chissà dove sarà. So I'm doubling the D this time. The reason for that when you sing is you don't want to do too many in a row. So the rule is when you sing and you have two or three in a row, you only pick, you leave one out, and it becomes more elegant. The other way, the way of speech is to exaggerate it. So this is one of the differences between lyric diction and spoken Italian. Okay, there's a lot on those two lines. Okay, so let's go through this word by word now also. So chi, think about the hard K sound, right? In English, if we say a K, it has more air through it. Ka. It is what is known as unvoiced consonant, right? Now, we form G's exactly the same way, but that's the voiced cousin to K. Ga, ka. In Italian, the ka happens almost at the point of the ga, but it becomes ka, you see, but not ka. So this is the other way you can have an English-speaking accent. If you say chissà, see, wrong, right? It's like gi, ki. So you can practice that. Gi, ki. And the other thing with D, in English, we tend to say dove with d, right? Da in English, right? It's less. Da, 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 right? And your T comes from that D. So the dentals, the two cousins, voiced and unvoiced, da, ta, right? So not ta. So that's another thing to practice, those consonants. Dove, not dove, right? I'm exaggerating, but again, for the purpose of demonstration. The O in dove is closed. Now, ssarà. The R in ssarà is surrounded by vowels, so it's flipped. So when is R rolled and when is it flipped? An R that's surrounded by vowels is flipped. Ra, ra. Just one single roll of the R, right? Not ra, as in English, but like I'm going to say da, ra, ra, with the tip of my tongue, right? Rolled R when it touches a consonant, like trɔvo. See, it doesn't matter which side the R touches the consonant. The T is on the left of the R will roll. And that's it, right? And the other thing is final R. So if you have a word like core, it's flipped, but then sometimes they take the E off the end, and then you have cor, Now, if nothing happens at the end of the sentence, you will roll that R. Okay, going on. NON, known, closed. The word for no is no, right? It's open O. The word for it is not, that used in a not negation, non la trɔvo. Okay, so notice this is a very good exercise to say this line. Number one, you have your first weak monosyllable. Now, there are weak monosyllables in Italian. In the definite article la, feminine for the, or it as an object, right, is not a doubling word. So you wouldn't say non la trɔvo, see with the double T. No, it's a single T. So there are very few weak monosyllables. Li, le, a lot of those pronouns. Again, in my video all about phrasal doubling, those are also listed, and they're listed in the description box. So you can just check out the description box very quickly and use it as a reference guide to whenever you have a question about whether a word is a strong monosyllable or not. So the other thing about this is that it's a very good exercise for closed and open O, because you have non la trɔvo. See? O, O. To do that without a glide. O, no, O, non la trɔvo. Right? So Italians do not harmonize, right? I'll never forget going and hearing somebody who was very Italian and a very good coach of Italian saying, Italian does not harmonize, right? And that's exactly why she had such a heavy accent, because in English she didn't harmonize anything, and that gave her that very thick Italian accent. Okay, going on, we've already had this line, l'ho perduta, but now we have the word meschinɛlla. And there are formulas for endings that certain endings open, and this is a diminutive, right? Meschina is an unfortunate one, and a meschinɛlla is a little unfortunate one. And Italians do a lot with crescitivo and diminutives, right? So they either make a word bigger or they make it smaller. Now this is a diminutive, right? And the ELLA is always open. So meschinɛlla. So now we talk about the stress of the word and whether it's open or closed. Well, unfortunately, there is no rule. You have to memorize, right? So I know that we know this one by the formula. ELLA is always open, right? Now, there are words that are stressed and they are closed, right? So look at ddove. The O is on the stress and it's closed. But then look at trɔvo, right? So the stress is open. So what is the stress we worry about? The stress of the word can either be open or closed. And there are very few formulas, and we have to memorize all the words or look them up, right? And even people who are super Italian coaches look up words because it is overwhelming and you want to make sure it's right. Everybody looks them up. Italians look them up, right? So there's always a word you have never come across and you have to look it up. So there's no way of knowing. One of these days I will do a video on the formulas of the suffix and the prefix and which ones are open and closed. And that will also help out a lot. That was also addressed in Evelina Colorni's book, Singer's Italian. So that's a very good book. I would highly recommend that. And then we've had a chissà, ddove, ssarà before, and non la trɔvo, and it's all the same. Then we have finally a different word, 2 lines from the end. The word and is printed with a single E, and that is closed, A, right? So here are the first words you can memorize in Italian if you haven't memorized any. The word for and, A, closed. The word for it is, or he is, or she is, okay? So that's with the accent, and that one's open, and that means is. So both of those are strong monosyllables. è mia cugina, è mia. See? Double M. Now, pronouns like suo, tua, mia. You have a lot of words that have two vowels in a row, and that's the other thing you have to memorize, whether it's a semi-vowel or not. So you'll have words like Giovanna with G-I-O, and the I is just there to make the G soft. Those also have to be memorized case by case. You have a word like già or può, right? So those words, there's just a glide for that vowel. And then you have some pronouns where it's mia, io, tua, sua. You see where you accent. And this is one of those. Mia. Cugina. This is a very good word for single consonants, right? What could we do wrong? We could double the G. Cugina, wrong, right? We could double the N. Cugina, wrong, right? So how did I do that wrong in each case? I stopped phonation for the G, right? Cugina, wrong. Correct. Cugina. How did I do the N wrong? Cugina. So if I go N for even a second, it's double N. Cugina. So how do I practice? You take out all the consonants, you do the vowels, right? So depends on how you learn. If you learn by hearing, it sounds very flowing, right? If you go by feeling, how it feels, you could feel that your phonation never stops, right? So now when you put the consonants back in, cugina, it's the same feeling or the same sound, right? Okay, going on, we've already had the word a, and in this case, the a flows into the e. Il padron, right? So a non-Italian speaker might put a glottal stop there and go il. Does not happen in Italian. It flows. The other thing that happens in Italian is that we are on a and then we are on e and we move like that. Il, not il with the y. Il, right? There's a lot of flesh. Il padron, right? So you think about somebody with a very thick, especially northern Italian accent, right? It's always a lot of flesh moving in the face and very high in the palate, right? So I never forget going to the airport and they, want to rent me a car and would you like to rent for the car? And that's basically the Italian, the speech. It's from here up, right? So il padron is there. Padron. So it's a and closed o, rolled r because the r touches the d. So finally we have the word cosa, right? In spoken Italian, that's actually an unvoiced s. And it's very difficult unless you are a native speaker to get the unvoiced s, meaning s instead of z, right? In singing, however, we voice it, right? So we say cosa in singing. So it's more beautiful, right? Cosa dirà. Now, what happens to the word when it flips around? The word can become closed. So this is the only vowel that harmonizes. And the only way it harmonizes is that it goes into an unstressed position. So when we speak fast, it can close. So depending on how you say this, and as Mozart repeats it, it changes, right? So you can say cosa dirà or cosa dirà, right? So I accented both. Cosa dirà, right? So the accent is on the a of dirà, and that is actually the strongest accent in the sentence. But I could also take the accent off of cosa, and now it becomes a closed o. Cosa dirà, as it flows and it all lands on the. So that's why I've put it in parentheses the second time. And as you repeat it, it's a nice detail to earn your repetition in this little aria this way. Okay, so I hope that helps you. Now, to finish up, let's just read through the entire text. And one more thing to note, the first time I read through it very slowly so you could follow along. This time we're going to go at a faster pace, and what we're going to do is try to find the arc, right? So how is an Italian sentence, what is the sound of an Italian sentence? Well, Italian sentences have a long upbeat and an arc in the middle, usually a stress on the second to last syllable of the phrase, and that's your gesture. So there are internal stresses, but there's one big gesture, like a wave crashing on the beach. And then the last syllable is very short. So long beginning, short ending, right? I will demonstrate, right? So if I just hit all of the internal accents of a sentence, it would be very sing-song and wrong. Hanno ammazzato compare Turiddu, right? Really, what happens is all those accents are honored, but it's on the way to the final. Turiddu is where we're going. Hanno ammazzato compare Turiddu. You see? So it's one big arc to the end of the sentence. So as we read the text this time, let's go for that arc. So here we go. L'ho perduta, mmeschina, chissà dove sarà. Non la trovo, non la trovo. L'ho perduta, meschinɛlla, chissà dove sarà. Non la trovo, non la trovo. Meschinella, l'ho perduta, chissà dove sarà. E mia cugina e il padron, cosa dirà, cosa dirà. Thank you very much for watching. Please give me a like and subscribe and spread the word. It really helps me out a lot. And as always, we'll see you at the opera.